Some people get to do something most never will. They walk into their boss's office on an ordinary Tuesday and they quit. Not because they have another job lined up, not because they won the lottery. They quit because the work was quietly destroying them and they decided they didn't have to take it anymore. They walk out into the afternoon sun and nothing bad happens. No panic, no frantic calculations about rent. They're fine. They were always going to be fine. Now here's the part that matters. That person probably earns less than you think. Maybe less than you. What set them free wasn't a big salary. It was a gap protected for years between what they earned and what they actually needed to live. And every day in 100 small decisions, they chose to widen that gap instead of closing it. That gap is the only thing standing between you and financial freedom. Not your income, not your luck, the gap. And the fastest way to widen it has almost nothing to do with earning more, and almost everything to do with wanting less. Here are the rules that do it. Rule 1. Don't buy things you don't need. I know how that sounds. It's the kind of advice that fits on a fridge magnet, and it's so obvious that most people nod, agree completely, and then go on buying things they don't need for the rest of their lives. So let me make it sharper, because the problem isn't that people disagree with this rule. The problem is they genuinely can't tell the difference anymore between what they need and what they've been trained to want. That blurring isn't an accident. Billions of dollars are spent every year to erase the line between wanting and needing inside your head, to make a slightly newer phone feel like a necessity, to make last season's perfectly good jacket feel embarrassing, to turn a passing flicker of desire into something that feels urgent. By the time you're standing at the checkout, the want has been dressed up so convincingly as a need that you don't even question it. So here's the test. Before you buy anything that isn't food, shelter, or a genuine obligation, pause and ask one honest question. Did I want this before I saw it? If the desire only appeared after an ad, a shop window, or a friend's new purchase, it isn't a need. It's a craving someone manufactured for you. Real needs are quiet. They were there before the marketing arrived. Manufactured wants are loud, and they always come with a sense of urgency attached, because urgency is what stops you from thinking clearly. Learn to recognize that loudness, and you'll cancel more purchases in a month than most people cancel in a year. Every one of those canceled purchases is freedom you chose to keep. Rule 2. Know your freedom number. Here's a strange fact. Most people have no idea how much freedom actually costs. They have a vague sense that it requires being rich, some enormous undefined pile of money, and because the number is undefined, it feels impossible, so they never aim at it. But freedom isn't a mystery. It's a figure, and you can calculate it. Your freedom number is simply the amount you genuinely need to live for 1 month. Not the amount you currently spend. The amount you'd need if you were spending deliberately. Rent or mortgage, food, utilities, transport, insurance, the real essentials. Add them up. That number is the monthly cost of your existence, and it's the most important figure in your financial life because everything else is measured against it. Once you know it, freedom stops being abstract. If your number is $2,000 a month, then $6,000 saved is 3 months of pure freedom. 3 months where you don't have to answer to anyone. $24,000 is a year. Suddenly your savings aren't just a number in an account, they're measured in time, they're measured in months of life you've already paid for in advance. And here's what most people get backwards. The lower your freedom number, the less you need to save to buy each month of freedom. Cutting your expenses doesn't just save money. It makes every dollar you've already saved stretch further. It moves the finish line closer from both directions at once. Rule 3. Count the cost in hours, not dollars. A price tag is a disguise. It tells you what something costs in money, which is the least useful way to understand it because money is abstract. What you actually spend when you buy something isn't dollars. It's the hours of your life you traded to earn those dollars. So translate. Work out what you really earn per hour after tax, after commuting, after all the unpaid time the job quietly demands. Then take that $200 gadget and divide. If you keep $18 an hour after everything, that gadget isn't $200. It's 11 hours of your life. Most of a working day that gone in exchange for something that'll be in a drawer by spring. This single shift changes everything because suddenly purchases have a price you actually feel. Is this jacket worth a full day of my life? Is this upgrade worth 2? Sometimes the answer is yes. And that's completely fine. The point isn't to never spend. The point is to feel the true cost before you do, in the only currency that's genuinely limited. You can always earn more money. You cannot earn more time. When you start paying for things in hours, you get a lot more careful about which hours you're willing to give away. Rule 4, watch out for the ratchet. This is the rule that quietly traps almost everyone, and it explains why people who earn 3 times what they used to earn somehow feel just as broke. It's called lifestyle inflation, but I prefer to think of it as the ratchet, because That's exactly how it works. It only ever turns one way. Here's the mechanism. You get a raise, it feels good, so you upgrade something, a nicer apartment, a better car, a few more comforts. Within a couple of months, that upgrade stops feeling like luxury and starts feeling like normal. Now it's just your baseline and you couldn't imagine going back. Then the next raise comes and the whole thing repeats. The ratchet clicks up another notch. Your expenses rise to swallow your income, no matter how high that income climbs. The gap never widens because every gain gets immediately spent on a lifestyle you then can't climb back down from. This is why the salary isn't the thing that sets you free. People earning enormous sums stay trapped because their lifestyle expanded to match, and now they need every dollar just to maintain a life they barely chose. The minimalist move is to break the ratchet deliberately. When more money comes in, refuse to let your baseline rise automatically. Keep your old life a little longer than feels comfortable. Send the raise to the gap instead of the lifestyle, because a raise you save is freedom. A raise you absorb into your standard of living is just a heavier set of chains, dressed up as success. Rule 5. Buy your freedom first. Most people pay for freedom last, if they pay for it at all. The money comes in, and they cover the rent, the bills, the wants, the little indulgences, and then, right at the end, if anything happens to be left over, they save it. The problem is that something is always left to want. There's always one more thing. So freedom gets whatever's at the bottom of the barrel, which is usually nothing. Flip the order. The moment money arrives, send a portion of it toward freedom before you let yourself spend on anything optional. Move it into savings, into investments, into the gap, automatically, before your eyes ever land on the full balance. Treat freedom as the first and most important bill you pay each month, more important than any subscription, because it's the only one buying back your life. The reason this works isn't really about discipline. It's about friction. We are creatures of the path of least resistance. If saving requires you to remember, to decide, to resist temptation every single month, you'll eventually fail on a tired or stressful day. So remove yourself from the equation. Make saving automatic and make spending take effort. Set up the transfer so the money is gone before you see it. Delete the shopping apps. Remove your saved card details so every purchase requires you to dig the card out and think. Make the good choice effortless and the bad choice annoying, and watch how quickly your behavior changes when you stop relying on willpower and start relying on design. Rule 6. Own your things. Don't let them own you. There's a hidden truth about possessions that almost nobody calculates before they buy. Everything you own has a second price, and you pay it slowly, forever, long after the purchase is over. The boat needs storage and insurance and maintenance. The big house needs heating and cleaning and filling with furniture. Even small things take up space, demand attention, need to be maintained, organized, repaired, and eventually dealt. Every object you bring into your life quietly asks for a piece of your money, your time, and your mental energy from that day forward. This means a lot of things you think you own are actually owning you. They tie up your money in their upkeep. They tie up your space. They tie up a little slice of your attention every single day, and attention, like time, is finite. The more you accumulate, the more of your life goes to maintaining the things you've accumulated until you're working not to live, but to support a collection of objects. So before any significant purchase, ask what it'll cost you after you own it, not just to acquire it. And whenever you can, test before you commit. Want to try a hobby? Borrow the gear or rent it before you buy a garage full of equipment you'll abandon in 3 weeks. Most enthusiasm fades faster than you expect, and renting first lets you discover that cheaply before you've spent a fortune furnishing an interest you didn't actually have. The lighter you travel through life, the freer you are to change direction. Everything you don't own is one less thing with a claim on you. Rule 7. Choose quality and choose less. Now, this is the rule that stops minimalism from tipping into misery, because cutting back can curdle into a joyless, penny-pinching existence where you deprive yourself of everything and resent every dollar you spend. That's not freedom. That's just a different kind of trap. The answer isn't to buy the cheapest version of everything. It's to buy less and buy well. Think about the maths of cheap. You buy a pair of boots for $40 and they fall apart in a year. So you buy another, and after 10 years you've spent $400 and worn 5 mediocre pairs of boots. Or you buy one excellent pair for $200 and they last the whole decade. You spent half the money, you owned a quarter of the stuff, and you wore something better the entire time. Cheap things have a way of being the most expensive option in the long run, because you keep paying for them again and again. So when you do spend on quality and spend on the few things you'll genuinely use often. A great mattress you sleep on every night, good shoes you wear every day, the tools of whatever actually matters to you. Pour your money into the handful of things that earn their place, and starve everything else. This is the real meaning of minimalism. It was never about having nothing. It's about having less so that the little you keep can be excellent. Fewer things, better chosen, owned for longer. longer. That's not deprivation, that's precision. And precision is what keeps the gap wide without making your life feel small. Rule 8. Measure your wealth by what you can walk away from. This is the rule that ties all the others together, and it's the one I most want you to remember, because it quietly rewrites what the whole game is even about. We've been taught to measure wealth by accumulation, by what we have, the size of the house, the badge on the car, the visible markers that tell the world we're doing well. But that scoreboard is a trap, because all of those things come with their second price, their upkeep, their ratchet, and most of the people flashing them are 1 or 2 missed paychecks from disaster. So measure differently. Measure your wealth by what you can walk away from. How many bad days at a job you hate can you absorb before you have to quit out of fear rather than choice? How long could you survive if your income vanished tomorrow? Can you leave a city, a job, a situation that's making you miserable, simply because you'd rather not stay? That ability to say no, to walk away, to choose, is the truest form of wealth there is, and it has almost nothing to do with how much you own. It has everything to do with the gap. This is why the minimalist who earns a modest salary can be freer than the executive earning 10 times more. The minimalist owns less, needs less, and has quietly stockpiled months and years of freedom in the space between their income and their needs. The executive owns everything and can walk away from nothing. One of them is wealthy in the only way that actually matters. The other just looks like it. So here's what you can do. Don't try to adopt all 8 of these at once, because you won't and you'll quit. Pick 3. Maybe you start by calculating your freedom number tonight so you finally know what you're aiming at. Maybe you automate 1 transfer to the Gap before you spend on anything else this month. Maybe you simply catch yourself at 1 checkout this week and ask whether you wanted the thing before you saw it. 3 small rules, practiced until they're automatic, will do more than 20 rules you admired once and forgot. Because financial freedom was never really about the money. It's about the gap. It's about owning less so that less owns you. It's about wanting less so that you need less, and needing less so that sooner than you'd ever expect, you become the person who can walk into that office on an ordinary Tuesday and walk back out into the sun, free. Start widening the gap today. Your future self is already waiting on the other side of it.